Kupitia uongozi wa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali imetekeleza miradi kadhaa ya ujenzi wa nyumba za bei nafuu kwa manufaa ya Wakenya. Wiki hii kwenye Project 254.
I have said it before, but I'll say it again. Kenyans made it clear that they want to live in decent homes.
Rais Uhuru Kenyatta amejali mtu wa chini sana, kwa sababu nyumba kama hizi ukienda ununue hata uwanja yako uanze kujenga itakukosti hata sana.
Siku hizi tunakaa makao mazuri, tunakaa nyumba nzuri. Zamani hatukuwa na choo, tulikuwa na tupa, lakini siku hizi hatutupi.
Linda familia na marafiki dhidi ya magonjwa.
The UHC coverage journey is on. NHIF is working under the guidance of the Ministry of Health in the UHC Step Up, which presents an opportunity to secure Kenyans access to quality health services without suffering financial hardship. So take the bold step today and safeguard your families by enrolling to NHIF to ensure health for all.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Akwila sana yele mako. Ninaishi Namanga. Wakati wa games tukikaa tu hapo na wanafunzi wenzangu tukicheza, nikaanza kusikia vizuri. Nikamweleza mama. Sasa mama akaniambia mbona ukusemanga? Nikamwambia niliogopa. Nikaenda Namanga hospital, nikapimwa, akaona ugonjwa niko nayo. Sasa akasema heri upelekwe Kajiado. Madaktari akakuja kunitibu. Akasema Manda akasema akaniambia utaenda kwa surgery. Walisema iko na growth. Nilienda kushughulikia hadi akaona akaenda kutafuta NHIF, mama tu anakuanga nayo, lakini ugonjwa mwenye nilitibiwa hiyo kadi ilinisaidia sana. Hiyo kama tungekuwa nayo sijui tungetoka hapo lini. Ningependa kuambia serikali waendelee kutuletea hiyo kadi ya NHIF kwa maana inatusaidia sana. Kila mtu ajitahidi na jikaze kisabuni ili waweze kudhibitisha na wapate hiyo NHIF. Ndio waweze na mtu akigonjeka juu siku yako kugonjeka na wewe upate hiyo kadi, ndio ukipelekwa hospital uweze kutibiwa.
Linda familia na marafiki dhidi ya magonjwa.
Good evening, welcome to Prime Edition. I am Cynthia Nyamai, and tonight we start with a story on infertility breakthrough where doctors today were able to successfully perform a penile implant in Aga Khan Hospital. I do have the details for you. And also when it comes to business, you have been asking me even earlier today, young and entrepreneurship stories that we have today for you. We're taking you all the way to Murang'a County, where we'll be talking about portable farming. And in sports, Karen is on standby with the stories for you. But first, let's have the highlights.
In relation to politicians who are inciting people, I think we have taken action on most of them that have come to our attention, and we're in court.
Hate speech. 50 legislators have case to answer. Who is better? Politicians sell their ideas across the country. Relief for men. Breakthrough as doctors successfully correct erectile dysfunction. Lucy Mora is our sign language interpreter. Remember, we would like to hear from you. So if you do have any comments or stories that you would like us to cover for you, send us your messages on our digital spaces on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. And the page is Prime Edition KBC Channel 1. Now, 50 politicians are lined for prosecution on incitement ahead of the August 9th general election. The Director of Public Prosecutions, Nurdin Haj, was in Mombasa, and he says that his team is putting together evidence to present solid cases against the involved, urging the media to help present any evidence they might be having on hate mongers.
The Director of Public Prosecutions, Nurdin Haji, who was at the Kenya Methodist University graduation ceremony in Mombasa, put on notice politicians spewing hate during the electioneering period. Haji says his office was currently handling over 50 cases related to political incitement, terming lack of adequate evidence as one of the impediments to speedy prosecution.
Mara mingi watu hawataki kutoa ushahidi. Hiyo ndo kwanza changamoto kubwa sana. Wale wananchi walioko pale hawataki kutoa ushahidi. Na pia nyinyi watu wa vyombo vya habari hamutaki pia kuja kuleta ushahidi. Mara nyingi ni nyinyi ndio mnairekodi na mnapata ile ushahidi.
The DPP challenged young people against being used to spread hate, urging them to be peace ambassadors during this period.
It cannot be that everybody is asking us, are we prepared? The question is also, as Kenyans, what are we going to do and how prepared are we to ensure that we are not incited by the politicians and that we are not taken advantage of.
Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Still in politics, Ukambani governors have forged a united front to work together to better the lives of residents in the region. The leaders said time is ripe for the region to reap from the national government by joining the Azimio bandwagon. The leaders said a Raila Odinga presidency will be beneficial not only to the region but to the country at large.
The Azimio la Umoja team on Thursday traversed the vast Machakos County, asking voters to cast their ballots wisely. The leaders' first stopover was at Masinga, then Masii Town, before winding up the day in Kangundo.
Ndio sisi tumeungana sisi watatu kusema tunalete mabadiliko hapa. Sisi tukiwa hapa tumeamua tunaunga mkono Azimio.
Miradi yote mnaona imefanywa hapa Machakos na inaendelea kufanywa. Haingefanyika kama hakukuwa hii pesa inatoka kwa serikali kuu.
Leaders urged locals to choose Raila Odinga for president, saying he is the best suited candidate with the people's interests at heart. They took a swipe at the Kenya Kwanza Brigade, saying they are not genuine.
Leo hii mawaziri ambao walikuwa ndani ya baraza la Uhuru Kenyatta wamekuja kusema ukweli kwamba Tangatanga anadanganya, handshake haikuwa affect functioning of government kwa sababu yeye alikuwa pale cabinet. Huyu jamaa kazi yake ni kudanganya wa Kenya.
The leaders said the 35% proposed allocation to devolution by the Azimio team will champion development in marginalized counties.
Na bottom up ile ya ukweli ni ile Raila anasema 35% ikiingia hizo 6,000 shillings, 2 million households.
Na hawa viongozi wenu ambao wako hapa kila siku wanakumbusha Baba ukiingia uwe rais wa 5. Watu wetu wa Machakos wanataka bei ya maisha irudi chini.
The governor said the Azimio la Umoja movement will place the country in safe hands.
The
The trio governors have united and are urging the people of Ukambani to ensure they choose Raila Amolo Odinga as the presidency in order to ensure they receive economic development in the region. Ruth Wamboy reporting for Prime Edition from the county of Machakos.
Now, Deputy President William Ruto maintains he is best suited to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta. Ruto, who led the Kenya Kwanza Brigade in popularizing the bottom-up economic model in Kirinyaga County, enumerated projects undertaken by the Jubilee government, saying he is best placed to carry on with President Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy.
After wooing Nyeri and Muranga in his part of one-week term offensive in the central region, DP Ruto on Thursday led the Kenya Kwanza Brigade in selling the bottom-up economic model to Kirinyaga residents.
Wanajua ya kwamba huyo mzee hawezi. Ndio wanajaribu kumpembeleza hata kama uwezi ati tutakuibia kura. Nyinyi mkiona kweli mtu ya kitendawili anaweza kuiba kura ya hasla? Ako na historia ya kazi. Ako na historia ya maendeleo. Kuna kanisa amejenga. Mumesikia amepanga stima. Anajua hata kutoa sadaka. Kama mtu hata sadaka inamshinda, ndiye ataongoza Kenya kweli?
While making stopovers in Sagana, Kibingoti, Kiajanga, Mukinduri, Kinyunye, and finally at Karumandi, the team hit at their main rivals Azimio la Umoja, claiming they have little understanding of the Jubilee legacy projects.
Bila ya ubaguzi na bila ya kuonea mtu yoyote. Nyinyi watu wa Kibingoti, mkiona ile mzee ya kitendawili vile alivyo, anawezana na hii kazi ya Kenya kweli? Hata bila ya kumuonea, anawezana na hii kazi?
Sisi tunataka serikali ambayo ikiwa kuna waziri wa kilimo akitekeleza wajibu anatekeleza na hasemi anangojea instructions kutoka juu.
The leaders downplaying reports that the popularity of the hustler narrative was waning in the Mount Kenya region.
We can see yale ambao watu wa magazeti wanataka kufanya kuhujumu kura inayokuja. Wameanza kusema tumefanya kura ya maoni, Raila anapanda kidogo kidogo kwa mlima. Hapa nani aliulizwa atapigia Raila kura?
Hebu nione kura za Ruto kwa mikono waone. Hivyo ndivyo ground iko Kirinyaga.
Kwa rais, hata ukifanya nini, sisi hatutamchagua Raila Odinga Azimio kama rais.
And to woo residents, Deputy President William Ruto commissioned the Sagana ICT Center, funded by India CDF, and Social Hall in Kibingoti, pledging to support farmers in the region. UDA party has in the meantime begun meeting aspirants in a bid to ensure them of sanctity of the process, scheduled to begin in April. UDA Secretary General Veronica Maina and the National Elections Board Director Anthony Mwangi, while meeting gubernatorial, parliamentary and members of the county assembly aspirants in Narok, dismissed claims that the party has preferred lined up.
We have really answered their questions, and now they are comfortable, they are geared to go, they are geared for the nomination, and we have agreed that we are going to do free and fair nominations, not by name, but even by deed.
The party has vowed to make Narok one of its strongholds by ensuring that each of the aspirants is satisfied with the nomination process.
The Kenya Kwanza Brigade took their clarion call to Kirinyaga County, even as they maintain that they are the best suited to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta. Tomorrow, the Ruto-led team moves to Kiambu County, even as it seeks to consolidate their support in the larger Mount Kenya region. Reporting for Channel 1 News from Kirinyaga County, my name is Gladys Mungai.
Now, the menfolk have something to smile about. Doctors at the Aga Khan Hospital in Nairobi have successfully performed a penile implant. The procedure corrects erectile dysfunction in men. Speaking after the procedure, Dr. Ahmed Yusuf said the procedure gives hope to men who have had struggle with reproductive issues. It is estimated that between 15 to 20% of men suffer from erectile dysfunction.
we did for him the penile Doppler with the intracorporeal injection. We found that he has a severe venous leakage. So after counseling him and informing him about what we'll do, we decided to go for the penile prosthesis. It is a very nice and short procedure. It is around 1 hour. First time for this procedure to be done in Kenya and also Sub-Sahara. There is, maybe it is only done in Egypt for this type of the procedures. Now we are cutting the
Trial case against lawyer Paul Gicheru before the International Criminal Court (ICC) entered the third day Thursday, with Gicheru's lawyer Michael Canava saying the first prosecution witness has no proof that his client offered him a bribe to recant his testimony in the case against Deputy President William Ruto and Joshua Sang. During the cross-examination of the first prosecution witness, Canava said the witness's explanation on how telephone records proving that he had been contacted to recant his testimony were deleted cannot be verified. Ben Chumba reports.
Which is 0. During the second day of cross-examining witness P0800, Paul Gicheru's lawyer Michael Canavas challenged the witness over claims that he was contacted to recant his testimony in the case against Deputy President William Ruto and Joshua Sang.
You would accept what's in this investigative report, that during this period of time, they're trying to contact you, and you're coming up with these reasons, and I'm not suggesting that you weren't sick, but for some reason, they weren't able to meet up with you, right?
If he asks questions that you do not remember, tell him that you do not remember. Tell the court that you do not remember. Then they will guide you. Just calm down and answer your questions.
While mounting a strong defense, Canavas cast aspersions on the integrity of the witness.
Opportunity to correct his record by showing him documents and cajoling him in some ways as to what the right answers might be. That's the point that I'm trying to make. That's the point I will argue. And that's why I think, in part, this person, along with for other reasons that we have shown, is not to be believed.
During the session, Michael Canavas expressed frustration that Gicheru's ICC trial kept on breaking for private sessions during witness P0800 cross-examination.
It's important to get this on the record in front of the people in Kenya and around the world. He's come here, he's made allegations. I'm well aware of his need for protection. But let's not turn this into a trial where it's not public.
Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Legislators have poked holes into the proposed university amendment bill, saying it risks favoring private universities at the expense of public ones. The MPs say in as much as the bill seeks to address governance challenges that have bedeviled universities, clauses such as one that provides leeway for private universities to access the public university coffers ought to be reviewed.
Today, nobody wants to go to University of Nairobi. If you went to the law faculty in University of Nairobi in Parklands, you will find they don't even have seats for students to sit down. Why? Because attention has turned from public universities to private universities. It is today prestigious to go to a private university.
Madam Speaker, this bill is giving powers to the CS to review council decisions and on delegated positions. Madam Speaker, supposing the CS does not want to align himself with the decision of the council, he'll be simply remote controlling the council wherever he's seated. It's a challenge which you need to look at.
Even where we want to support the private universities, we should not violate people's rights to choices. I have in my own house 2 of my grandchildren who have been taken to private universities. I didn't want them to go to private universities under the pretext that they will be supported by the government because they passed. Instead, we are being forced to pay even higher money.
Madam Speaker, in its current form, this bill is actually leading to the privatization of functions that should be taken up by the national government, Madam.
I will support with amendments this bill
because majority of the items in this bill are not in line with what the universities are supposed to be run.
The government of Kenya adopted universal health coverage (UHC) as one of the big 4 priority agenda, with an aspiration that by 2022 all citizens will have access to quality healthcare services that they need without getting into financial hardships. Don't suffer in silence. Visit the nearest healthcare facility and access affordable healthcare services that are now offered under the universal health coverage benefit package delivered through NHIF. For those who can afford, please remember to pay the monthly contribution of 500 shillings. The government has put mechanisms for assisting those who cannot afford to pay. Register biometrically at the nearest NHIF office. Your family's health matters to us. NHIF. Leave no one behind.
Welcome back. Now time for business. In the year 2019, a 26-year-old mathematics and chemistry teacher in Murang'a County tried her hand in a unique business idea, that of doing farming on portable farms. Today, Elizabeth Koike is making extra money, not only from selling produce from her farm, but also from selling the concept. Our reporter Yusuf Farah spent an afternoon with Elizabeth and filed the following report for this week's episode of Young and Industrious.
At the Gitura Secondary School, Murang'a County.
Okay. Naenda kufunza wapi? My chalk is here.
Teacher Elizabeth prepares ahead of our mathematics class.
The diagrams that we are drawing, so I had left some work, let's say a few meters from the gate, to Kwena, the classes, drawing diagrams of a shamba, because most of you, as you said.
Apart from teaching, Elizabeth has a passion for the environment. The drive behind her starting a modern farming project thanks to a space provided to her by the school administration.
This is the shamba that we have.
She then walks me to the space that plays host to the Ndogo Farm project.
Terere, managu, mint, rosemary.
But what led to the path of this project?
I researched a lot in the year 2017 and 2018. So when I bumped into this concept of using the drums and then you convert them into gardens, I started converting I first of all made one, which was in the year 2019, January. And then after I made it, I started to see the results of what I was getting. I was getting the vegetables, and then I thought maybe people would need this. I posted online and they were like, we need this. It has 30 plants. We have the sukumas here, the spinach.
Here, plants like sukuma wiki, spinach, tomatoes and the African nightshade are grown, but instead of the normal farms that take up space, Elizabeth opted for a different approach that saves on space and can be easily adopted in the urban setting. The bags can be resized so they can even have flowers to beautify gardens or balconies.
Mainly hii drum ya 250 liters yenye nakuanga Karioko. So usually take those drums and then we convert them into gardens, and because they are very hard to cut, tunatumianga machines, and we make these holes. So right now this one was a prototype. Yes. So right now it is holding 48 plants, and then you also add regular worms, and those worms zita consume the waste that is there, and then when they consume, they are able to move from here. Hii mashimo zinatembea from here, from inside the system mpaka huku. We call this one the composting system. So zina move huku, zina the waste nitaje pupu, and hiyo makojo yake it's fertilizer for the system. So I came up with this fabric, which we call it the felt fabric, and the felt fabric has a lot of properties. It is air pruning. The longevity is 10 years, and the good thing is that this design itself can hold 30 plants. When you have this felt fabric, which is a grow bag gardening system, you can put your potting mix here, and then you plant the plants that you want. And the one thing about these bags is that they are they are needle punched, meaning they have air pruning properties, so the roots are able to breathe, which is something that is not there when it comes to buckets or other containers that you may use.
Just 1 year after embarking on this business, Elizabeth started selling the movable farms to customers in 2020, dramatically improving her earnings.
It's helping me in catering. It's kind of a side hustle, but it's going to also be a main hustle. And the good thing is that I've been provided the environment of doing the same thing, so when I'm free, either from 1 to 2, I come here. Either from 5 to 6, I also come here.
What challenges does this unique business experience?
So after I realized that you have the soil and manure is not working, so you had kutoa kila kitu, research again. The next thing was about reception of people. It's a new concept, so people getting it, their heart is taking time, but we get there.
Her passion for environment conservation provides the resilience necessary to keep her business ongoing.
Greenery is beautiful. It helps in reducing carbon emissions, which is going to be very good when you come up with greenery kama ni ya beauty na pia ya kukula sasa, but ikuwe healthy for everyone because we advocate for organic farming.
The high school teacher who draws her inspiration from the late Professor Wangari Maathai hopes that such projects will be adopted in the urban setting as she looks forward to more greener spaces, not just locally, but in the global market as well. Yusufar reporting for Young and Industries from Gituro Secondary School, Murang'a County.
Farmers in parts of Nakuru County are sinking water pans to collect runoff water for irrigation. The irrigation project entails installing meter drainage systems to harvest rainwater for use during dry periods.
Parts of Bahati, Nakuru County are dry with minimal agricultural activities taking place there due to the harsh weather. In most farmlands here, the scorching sun has baked the greyish loam soil, making it hard. However, residents are converting this barren land into productive farmlands, courtesy of runoff water during the rainy seasons.
Liters of water twice per week. Hii itaendelea bila kuwa na stress mpaka tufike wakati wa mvua. Hapo taona tumechimba hizi retention ditches. Hiyo kwa point soil erosion.
They are harvesting the runoff water and storing it in water pans they have sunk for use to support farming activities during the dry seasons.
Hiyo ndio inatusaidia wakati kama huu dry season from December to late March. Hii yake kuangi na mvua.
Avocado farmers here produce the fruit around the year, benefiting from high prices during the country's off-season after employing this innovation.
Expect from 7 years onwards, inatakiwa kupatia between 1,000 and 1,500 fruits per plant. Considering that you have more than 100 plants, and the pricing of this, the cost, we sell them at around an average of 15.
To minimize cases of post-harvest losses, Due to a market glut of perishable produce, farmers here have increased production of export fruits such as mango and watermelon.
Tunaenda tukifanya kuuza mazao pamoja. Na tukiuza kama hii shamba yangu sio kubwa sana, ni ndogo. Na mimi unaona katika msimu mmoja ninajipatia zaidi ya 1,200 na kitu. Pale niko na mradi mwingine hapa wa samaki, na vile vile maji hii nikipata naendaga na samaki naweka kwa samaki. Saa ile na purify ni ile maji ya samaki. Hiyo maji ya samaki na ndio nanyunyizia hii miti yangu kwa sababu iko na rutuba zaidi.
The area that was usually not suitable for dairy farming has seen a number of farmers taking up the venture by cultivating fodder supported by the stored water. This has attracted the attention of the national government through the National Agricultural and Rural Inclusive Project that has invested 13 million shillings in seeking additional water pans.
Management ya Crater Stream sehemu ya juu iligharimu serikali milioni 13, na sehemu ya damu uko chini ambayo tunajaribu kurehabilitate iligharimu serikali shilingi milioni 17. So kwa jumla unaweza kuona serikali imeweza kuinvest karibu shilingi milioni 30 katika sehemu ya hii ya Crater Watershed ndio iweze kusaidia wakulima kujaribu kupata maji na pia kuzuia mmomonyoko wa udongo.
Benson Joba for Farmways.
There is need for implementation of infrastructure planning in the country's urban spaces to attract investment and spur development. Urban Development National Director Dr. Kanyango Charles says adoption of planned development in urban areas would help Kenya's efforts towards achieving a sustainable 24-hour economy.
The government has been rolling out investment programs to enhance infrastructure, connectivity, accessibility, safety and security as Kenya postures for a 24-hour economy, especially in urban centers.
If we attain equity in terms of urbanization, we will then be able, to not only have uniform development, but we will also have a uniform contribution towards our national GDP.
Among the programs is a Kenya Urban Support Program that has so far disbursed 24.3 billion shillings of the 70 billion shillings program to 59 municipalities across 45 counties, with the exception of Nairobi and Mombasa.
With plan-led development, we would be able to make priorities. We would be able, to coalesce our human settlements. We would be able to put social infrastructure where the population can access them very easily, and we don't have to move population from one end to another in order to access those kind of infrastructure. The net gain would be economies of scale once we have that kind of concentration. So far Nakuru is still a participant within the Kenya Urban Support Program. It's not yet exempt because we are still within this phase, of the Kenya Urban Support Program. And even when we move to the phase 2 of the Kenya Urban Support Program, there will be conditions for participating. But you see, what I can say for Nakuru is that it's a baby that we have given birth to.
Dr. Konyango says urbanization, rapid population increase and changing socio-economic patterns are influencing spatial change in peri-urban areas.
Private sector moving into the affordable housing program would be more attracted to where infrastructure, what we call off-site infrastructure, are available. That off-site infrastructure is part of the things that the Kenya Urban Support Program then has fixed, because it has made, it has laid in the hands of the counties the amount of money that has been enabled them now to fix roads, which then would make accessibility easier, planning as well, so that even those affordable housing areas, have got to be planned because we are talking about plan-led development. And, even as our department under the program, we are facilitating in terms of planning, for those affordable housing, areas.
He says that Kenya can still leverage the benefits of urbanization for improving economic opportunities and living conditions. He says poor urban planning is a threat to the country's investment attractiveness.
We require dedicated fund for planning so that we have, a holistic planning for all our 216 urban centers in this country. One go, we plan them so that then regime that would be coming would now be talking about implementation of the plans. But the counties will require support in that area, both technical support and financial support, because planning is expensive.
Dr. Konyango says to decongest major urban centers, infrastructure in their metropolis should be improved.
There is a lot of idle, revenue potential within those secondary towns that if we plowed in foundation infrastructure and we had investments move in those areas, then the national GDP contribution would be higher.
Well, there you have it, our guest insisting that we need to focus on plan-led development, which is key for sustainable economic development. None other than Dr. Konyango Charles, who is the National Director, Urban Development at the State Department for Housing and Urban Development. I'm Regina Manyara, you're watching Prime Edition.
Zanzibar has received EDE COVID scanners that provide an immediate COVID test result from Abu Dhabi, offering relief to thousands of COVID negative tourists who will no longer have to endure the uncomfortable nose swab. As Hibackside narrates this on the edition of EAC Integration, Uganda has dropped the mandatory COVID-19 testing at the Entebbe International Airport following a few new cases being recorded at the facility.
COVID-19 tests involving a nose and throat swab have proven to be a matter of discomfort for many travelers, with the rigorous double, sometimes triple testing discouraging travelers from moving between the countries. Zanzibar received EDE COVID scanners, which are the first of their kind in Africa. The exponential deep examination scanning technology allows instant testing without physical contact.
And as you know, all the tests have been very invasive. And this is the first that is non-invasive, and it is the first in Africa. So this is something that we regard as a big success for Zanzibar.
In comparison to the PCR tests, the scanning technology helps maintain a distance between the tester and the traveler, as the technology can pick up signals from the body within a distance of 5 meters.
It takes less than a second. And it is very sensitive also. It is after many trials, almost we have tested this device on more than 20,000 individuals already in UAE. So the results, they are very confirming, and it is almost 93.5% sensitive.
The research behind this is extensive. It's built on how COVID behaves in the body and what type of transmission comes from the chest via electromagnetic waves. And this is how they're capturing this information.
This comes as Uganda has dropped the mandatory requirement for COVID-19 testing at its main entry points, the Entebbe International Airport. The announcement was made after the country's cabinet noted that few new cases were being recorded at the airport and that the threat of new coronavirus variants and community transmissions had reduced. However, those traveling to Uganda are required to be tested 72 hours before arrival or departure from the airport. Zanzibar officials, as well as those behind EDE COVID scanning technology, are hopeful that other East African Community member states would embrace the technology to ease movement.
Kwa hiyo haya yote yana lengo la kurahisisha upimaji wa COVID ili watu waweze kusafiri bila ya bughudha ile ya COVID kukosa majibu au kuchelewa na kadhalika.
And so the adoption begins first from the city under the sun and maybe afterwards to other countries within the East African community, bringing the tourism sector in the region back to its former glory. Reporting for EAC Integration from Zanzibar, my name is Ibak Said.
Nabonga na watoi kujua mambo za online, pia na create time wafanye vitu offline. Tungeni gadgets na sites wana use, msiwache strangers wapate chance kuabuse.
Nimeshindaje pesa kompe sija participate. Unadai info yangu na ikwe private ise. Identity yangu haupati utumi. Hizi zangu ni zangu na bado nitazishikilia.
Una post story ati ni real news. Mimi sikuamini mpaka nione sasa hizo vis. Una text online to me tunanifeel. Staki jokes sama mimi nitakureport for real.
Wazazi, watoi na maithu wetu. Don't be fooled. Get cyber smart and enjoy safe entertainment and education online.
The Communications Authority of Kenya. Mawasiliano kwetu, nguvu kwako.
Linda familia na marafiki dhidi ya magonjwa.
The UHC coverage journey is on. NHIF is working under the guidance of the Ministry of Health in the UHC Step Up, which presents an opportunity to secure Kenyans access to quality health services without suffering financial hardship. So take the bold step today and safeguard your families by enrolling to NHIF to ensure health for all.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Aquila sana yele mako. Inaishi Namanga. Wakati wa games tukikaa tu hapo na wanafunzi wenzangu tukicheza, nikaanza kusikia vizuri. Nikamweleza mama. Sasa madha kaniambia mbona ukusemanga? Nikamwambia niliogopa. Nikaenda na Namanga hospital nikapima, akaona ugonjwa niko nayo. Sasa akasema heri upelekwe Kajiado. Madaktari akakuja kunitibu. Akasema Manda akasema akaniambia utaenda kwa surgery. Walisema iko na growth. Nilienda kushughulikia hadi akaona akaenda kutafuta NHIF mama tu anakuanga nayo, lakini ugonjwa mwenye nilitibiwa hiyo kadi ilinisaidia sana. Hiyo kama tungekuwa nayo sijui tungetoka hapo lini. Ningependa kuambia serikali waendelee kutuletea hiyo kadi ya NHIF kwa maana inatusaidia sana. Kila mtu ajitahidi na jikaze kisabuni ili waweze kudhibitisha na wao wapate hiyo NHIF. Ndio waweze na mtu akigonjeka juu siku yako kugonjeka na wao upate hiyo kadi, ndio ukipelekwa hospital uweze kutibiwa.
Linda familia na marafiki dhidi ya magonjwa.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Welcome back. Now, Kenya could soon have an edible oil manufacturing plant following talks that the government has started with a Russian investor who is interested in setting up the factory. This is among many investment opportunities the government is looking to secure at the ongoing Expo 2020 Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. According to Trade Cabinet Secretary Betty Maina, the Expo 2020 Dubai has raised Kenya's profile as an investment hub in Africa as the country targets to become a manufacturing powerhouse.
The Kenyan delegation at the ongoing 6-month Expo 2020 Dubai are pitching business opportunities to investors as well as scouting for market for Kenyan-made goods and services. Among deals that the government is closing on is on edible oils that a Russian investor is interested in selling in the East and Central Africa region. Industrialization and Trade Cabinet Secretary Betty Maina says Kenya is receptive of the idea but is keen on upscaling it to the benefit of Kenya's manufacturing sector.
At present, their interest is obviously trading because that's how you enter a market. But we're encouraging them to also consider setting up a refining plant in Kenya, setting up a firm to grow their raw materials.
So far, she says the Kenyan delegation has focused on deals involving goods not produced in the Gulf as the Kenya targets to boost export volumes and portfolio.
We have clearly focused on food, whether it's meat, whether it is milk, vegetables. We've also focused on flowers, we focused on nuts.
These emerge as the Kenya Bureau of Standards urge manufacturers and producers to improve the quality of products for Kenya to effectively compete in the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Together with the standardization mark, then we are trying to tell our manufacturers to go for the diamond mark, which is a premium mark, which shows that a manufacturing entity has consistently confirmed with the requirements and the processes which satisfy the award of that mark.
Reporting for Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.
The SACCO Societies Amendment Bill 2021 is inching closer to becoming law after it sailed to the third reading in the National Assembly. The bill, among other things, emphasizes on the use of ICT in SACCO operations to minimize cases of fraud and aid surveillance by the regulator.
The government has been increasing surveillance on the cooperative movement after a number of SACCOs collapsed with member savings. The government-sponsored SACCO Society Amendment Bill 2021 is a step closer to being law after members of the National Assembly voted to sail it to the third reading stage.
SACCO Societies Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 55 of 2021, be now read a third time. Will as many as without opinion say aye? Aye. As many as contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
The bill, which seeks to amend the SACCO Society Act of 2008, among other provisions, seeks to provide for usage of ICT by SACCOs in filing their returns, seeking operational licenses, and any other documents required by the regulator.
Honourable Speaker, I beg to move that the SACCO Societies Amendment Bill, being National Assembly Bill number 55 of 2021, be now read a third time. And Honourable Speaker, I do hope that this completes now our bid as a National Assembly, and we can now take it to the Senate.
The bill also gives the SACCO Society Regulatory Authority powers to frequently inspect SACCOs and institute legal action on SACCOs and officials who contravene SACCOs law. The bill also gives the SACCO Society Regulatory Authority powers to frequently inspect SACCO and institute legal action on SACCOs and officials who contravene SACCO laws. The bill also seeks to empower the SACCO Society Regulatory Authority to raise over 130 million shillings from non-deposit taking SACCOs to support its oversight operations. During the public participation forums, SACCO officials urged Parliament to introduce a clause in the bill that will see officials take personal responsibility for failing to remit members' contributions on time. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Thank you, Rioba, for that report. Now, Egypt, the world's largest wheat importer, is preparing for a possible wheat shortage as tension between its two major wheat suppliers, Russia and Ukraine, remain high. Egypt consumes 18 million tons of wheat annually, more than half of which is imported, with 90% of the imports from Russia and Ukraine. Here are the details of this and many more across the country.
Wheat production globally was affected by the impact of coronavirus pandemic, and with the looming Ukraine-Russia crisis, supplies could be affected. Under the current circumstances, Egyptian importers are trying to seek alternative sources of wheat in case a war breaks out. Egypt has also amended its previous plan of always maintaining a 3-month reserve of strategic commodities such as oil, wheat and rice by extending the time span to 5 months. As wheat from European suppliers such as France and Portugal is more expensive, the North African nation is also working on a long-term strategy to reduce dependence on imports. This includes plans to make 1.6 million acres arable for growing more crops such as wheat. Meanwhile, Ghana is promoting consumption of chocolates to encourage people to buy, eat and use locally made chocolate to boost the country's economy. On the streets of Accra, chocolate has become a symbol for celebration of love on Valentine's Day. But even as the government tries to promote locally made chocolates, vendors say they can be hard to sell because they are often more expensive than imports. Ghana is the world's second largest producer of cocoa, but the country spends more than $45 million every year on importing chocolates during the Christmas and Valentine's Day. Finally, the European Union plans to invest 820 million euros in Nigeria to support the country's digital economy over the next 3 years. The amount includes 660 million euros worth of loans and 160 million euros as grants. The coronavirus pandemic has accelerated Nigeria's push for digital services, with technology-enabled companies attracting private equity money in healthcare, financial services and education, among others. Nigeria, Africa's largest economy, wants to modernize its digital economy to boost public service and revenues.
Australia's largest coal-fired power station will close 7 years earlier than planned, as its operators say it is increasingly unable to compete with the influx of renewables. The 2.88 gigawatt Airing plant will close in 2025 and be replaced by a large-scale battery. Here are the details and other news making headlines across the globe.
The Airing coal-fired power station adds to a long list of coal plants forced shut by the growth of cheap wind and solar energy in the country. Australia's reliance on coal-fired power stations has eased in recent years. However, coal still supplies 60% of the country's electricity, making it one of the highest carbon-emitting nations per capita. Renewables accounted for around a third of Australia's electricity generation last year and are forecast to be close to 70% by the end of the decade. Last week, rival energy giant AGL said it will bring forward by several years the closure of its two biggest coal-fired power plants. Meanwhile, the price of fresh vegetables on the dining tables of many Chinese households have been pushed to record highs, driven by unusually cold winter and logistic deadlocks resulting from sporadic coronavirus outbreaks over the last few weeks. Vegetable prices traditionally rise in January and February when the temperature drops and the supply is unable to catch up with the increasing demand before the Lunar New Year holiday. The daily wholesale price index of agriculture products has hit an all-time high of 139, having been first published in 2016. The sub-index focusing on vegetables rose even higher to 145, also setting a record. Finally, Japan ran its biggest trade deficit in a single month in 8 years in January as high energy costs swelled imports and manufacturers struggled with global supply constraints, causing a decline in cash shipments. The growing trade deficit highlights the world's third-largest economy's vulnerability to soaring commodity costs and slowing demand from giant neighbor China, as the economy there struggles to maintain momentum. Imports soared 39.6% year-on-year in January to hit a record of 8.5231 trillion yen. A big factor in the deficit was a decline in car exports, which swung into contraction from an expansion in the previous month.
Students, researchers, and those keen on recreational activities are among those who frequent Bamburi in Mombasa County. This area is a blend of the safari and the beach tourism products, as highlighted on this week's episode of Magical Scenes. And after that, we will have sports with Karen Kibet.
Actually, people are scared back in the state. They are told it's very hard, but it's not. It's not what we thought. And when we are near the ocean, it's just perfect.
Mtu akija ni kama amekuja nyumbani kwake. Ile kitu tu ni mtu anajibebea chakula yake, anakuja anatayarisha, anakula, akitoka. Hatuna masharti mengi, maana ukiwa hapo ni kama nyumbani kwako.
The wildlife sanctuary in Bamburi is home to giraffes, gazelles, antelopes, snakes, crocodiles. These trees offer a natural shade from the coastal hot and humid weather.
I love your country. This is my first time to Mombasa. I love the people. I love everything I'm seeing.
Wakati wote ni mzuri, japokuwa tunapokea wageni wengi zaidi wakati shule zimefungwa, maana ndipo wazazi wengi wanakuwa na muda mwingi wa kupumzika na kufanya shughuli zingine.
Simply in Bamburi, there is a lot to engage in. Starfish, barracuda fish, blue marlin fish, turtles are just among a few you would sample here. You will also spot tens of butterfly species. Irene Mchuma Odim, Magical Scenes in the county of Mombasa.
To get John chapter 6 verse 35 as your skiza tune, dial *812 *498 hash.
John 6 verse 35. Then Jesus declared, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty.
To get John chapter 6 verse 35, dial *812 *498 hash. *812 *498 hash.
Nabonga na watoi kujua mambo za online, pia na create time wafanye vitu offline. Tungeni gadgets na sites wana use, msiwache strangers wapate chance kuabuse.
Nimeshindaje pesa kompe sija participate. Unadai info yangu na ikwe private say. Identity yangu haupati hautumi. Hizi zangu ni zangu na bado nitazishikilia.
Una post story ati ni real news. Mimi sikuamini mpaka nione sasa hizo vis. Una text online to me tunanifeel. Staki jokes mimi nitakureport for real.
Wazazi, watoi na maitho wetu, don't be fooled. Get cyber smart and enjoy safe entertainment and education online.
The Communications Authority of Kenya. Mawasiliano kwetu, nguvu kwako.
Welcome back. A very good evening to you. I do hope you're holding up well. Let's now get
Sporty. My name is Karen Kibet. Now, the Football Kenya Federation Premier League action will take a 2 weeks break and will resume on February 26th. After midweek action, Kakamega Homeboys are perched at the top of the log with 37 points, 5 ahead of second-placed Nairobi City Stars. Kariobangi Sharks, KCB and former champions Gor Mahia complete the top 5 teams on the log. Defending champions Tusker FC, Talanta, Posta Rangers, Bandari and Sofapaka occupy position 6 to 10 respectively. Nzoia Sugar, Mathare United and Vihiga Bullets are the bottom placed sides in the standings. Joseph Opio of Nairobi B boxing team humbled Eric Mwangi of Prisons A in the men's lightweight division as the National Novice Championship got underway Friday at the Charter Hall in Nairobi. Evans Lazarus of Muranga humbled Abdul Ali of Kilifi in the 60 kg category. Abdul Owor of Prison B lost to Wandera Kizito of Vihiga through a walkover, while Mungai Kimani of Nairobi A defeated Juma Mwakiferesi. 168 boxers, 160 male and 8 female are taking part in the championship. The National Novice Boxing Championship, which has attracted 22 clubs, will end on Saturday. Moving on to matters La Liga, Atletico Madrid's poor form continued as the La Liga champions lost 1-0 to bottom-placed Levante at the Wanda Metropolitana Stadium. Gonzalo Melero scored the only goal of the game in the second half that sealed a win for the away side. Now finally, to matters Champions League, Spanish giants Barcelona will be aiming to keep their Europa League titles hope alive when they take on Napoli in the round of 38 tonight. Meanwhile, Liverpool took a huge step towards the Champions League quarterfinals after scoring 2 late goals against Inter Milan in the San Siro. And those are the sports stories we had for you tonight right here at the KBC Sports News Desk. I'll see you tomorrow with more sports news. But for now, I hand you back to Cynthia Nyamai. My name is Karen Kibet. Cynthia, take it away.
Thank you, Karen, for all the action in the sports world. Now, the young and the industrious is something that has been coming up this evening from your comments and your feedback, asking for more stories on the young and the industrious. Remember, if you'd like to watch the story again, you can have a look at it on our website, KBC Channel 1, and also on our YouTube channel. And also the story on the EAC and not having to go through the nose swab as we travel is a story that a lot of you have also commented about. We also have the infertility breakthrough, where a lot of people are asking for more details on that story. Remember, you can find more stories on our website. And Kahuru Njenga from Nakuru says, kudos, I look forward to the young and industrious every Thursday. From me and the rest of the team, I do wish you a good evening.